Mighty Thor time! Welcome back again to Girls Go Talk Comics. This is what happens when you give the lieutenant the reins, Aaron.
You're commander now, excuse you.
Commander of literature, Jessica.
And the master of mediocrity, Aaron.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome to episode Mighty Thor.
Mighty Thor.
A Marvel comic.
Aaron, Dauterman, and Molina take Odin's son to a new low and lift a mysterious goddess of thunder to new heights in the 2014-2015 follow-up to Original Sin. Readers will meet ice giants and minotaurs and dark elves, oh my, in this gorgeously vibrant and playful gallop through one of Marvel's most beloved properties in a surprisingly easy to onboard volume. This Instagram baddie goddess of thunder helps reintroduce wonder into an old power set, whilst literally smashing Mjolnir through the patriarchy.
That was really great. That was really good.
I worked hard on that one.
Yeah. So I guess after Original Sin, Thor Odinson lost his power over Mjolnir.
Not worthy. My fucking hammer is what I'm going to be.
Yeah, we're gonna go with my hammer.
My hammer. Hammer. Oh, that was a bad one.
Hammer. Yeah, so Mjolnir has no wielder, and along comes some lady, just decked out, blonde, like badass hot bitch.
Instagram baddie model with the black lips and the fierce locks.
And her helmet is fucking fantastic. Great design.
Her arms, though.
Oh, right?
She's goals.
Freaking, like, and a safe, her costume design, too. Like, don't think I've seen anybody cosplay her, but I think the first person I do, I hope, one, that they're, like, 6 foot tall. Not to say I have a preference or type, but I will totally get a picture of me just, like, fawning over this person, because it's such... Oh, her design is so cool.
It's so good. I love the gimmick because they immediately, in this volume at least, they plant the flag in the whole lady of this, girl of that, whatever the fuck of the other. Mm-hmm. But they keep the story more than her being a her. That's not the whole shtick, but they do plant a flag in it to make it like, yeah, it's just Thor, bitches. Mm-hmm. But it's not like, that is the entirety of what we have to say.
Yeah. This was volume 1 we read, which was like Thunder in Her Veins, I think was the name of it. If not...
Yeah, I think Thunder in Her Veins is the next one.
Okay, well this was volume 1 of the 2014 run. And I remember when it came out that they were very much talking about how they didn't want this to be Lady Thor. Oh, they wanted it to just be Thor.
I think this is just the Goddess of Thunder. Oh, and the headshots are just...
I know, it's just
the art is just
beautiful.
I did this one. I have these all in single issues. I'm skipping ahead to the format, but I have these all in single issues except for like number 4, because this is another one that went off the shelves. It was just so beautiful, and I did so much zooming in for detail on this format just so I could get some of the texture, because this is just so good.
Up to this point in my reading, I haven't seen a lot of artists use the background very well, maybe to its fullest potential. Yeah. You know, there's always maybe a character who's immediately adjacent that something happens to, but this team uses not only the full panel, but the full depth that they can.
Yeah.
It creates some just really great shots. Yeah.
They're like, it's the full playground.
Yeah.
But And then the other fun part about the digital form is the backlighting causes some of the zippy neon stuff to really stand out. Like, so the magic and the lightning is just a little bit more like, got a little pop to it.
So, kind of jumping ahead a little bit.
Sorry.
Recommended reading format might be digital.
Might be, because it's fun. And
I mean, the Goddess of Lightning needs some light, needs some electricity behind her. So it makes sense to read it on a computer screen.
Yeah.
Like, my comics don't come backlit.
They get
a glare.
They do. You have to, like...
The way they're illuminated, you're like, where's this?
Where's my focal point
They
here,
don't use glitter in it?
No, which is unfair.
Yeah, though I think it would be maybe a little too overwhelming to have lightning, a goddess of lightning with glitter.
That is, yeah. That
an aesthetic of choice. Aesthetic I would support, but maybe a little like...
This is probably the least like cringy female outfit I've ever seen as well.
I know. It's so cool.
And, okay, so real talk here for a second. It's a Marvel original. This is an OG property. This is the main Thor line. So collected is the way to go because this shit is so opaque and impossible to navigate. Literally, the title of this, The Goddess of Thunder, I don't even know how to direct people to the right. We almost didn't read the right thing because you have to almost just shout out the dates to get the right freaking reference going. Yeah,
if you put Thor into a search engine, you're
just
probably going to get a Hemsworth.
Yes.
But you're going to get decades worth of potential comics, which is why why we specified that it's 2014.
And not all of those are good, by the way.
Yeah.
Old comics are hard to read these days.
Pro tip, if you're going into writing for whatever reason, yes, slang is definitely going to be relevant. Might not age it well. So I guess you got to kind of think about what you're shooting for. But they did that on purpose, though, where they wanted this title to be part of the main line. They didn't want Goddess of Thunder to be a gimmick. They wanted it to be taken seriously. And just to point out, there are a lot of women in this book. Goddess of Thor. There's Hela. Freya. Yeah.
And Hela.
And Hela. Yeah. There's Dr. Jane Foster is in it. There, I think Sif. Does she make it?
Honestly, this is a great onboard, but you don't necessarily pick up the backstory on some of those secondary characters as well. But they give you enough. So I don't know these women's names, but there are several women in it. Yeah. And it's almost, I'd say about half and half, actually. Yeah. Which is
cool, because there are a lot of women in the Thor narrative, in the Thor mythology.
And it does tackle this, like...
Loki's a woman at one point.
Loki's a woman. God is a woman. No, it tackles multiple tiers of the patriarchy. So not only is it Thor, the position of Thor, if it were to be a position and not a name for a person, because Thor's a bit of a weirdo and decided he wasn't going to have his name no more. But Thor is not the only thing under contest. Going into this, Asgard had been Asgardia under an all-mother Freya, and the reigns are not playing out well, and they're not trying to sugarcoat it and make it like female incursion. It's like females are there holding the pieces together where the males literally like
left it,
lose their shit in some sort of fashion.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a whole bunch of like things are going wrong and the women aren't afraid to step up and kind of hold on to what they know is right. And it's not even done like in opposition to Thor. You can tell that the Goddess of Thunder is really doing it as sort of like, what would Thor do? You know, like the Thor that I know and love, what would Thor do?
I mean, I think the way they talked about it, she was almost called by the hammer to step up for it. Because the great question that they have throughout the series is, who is Thor? Ooh. And which is kind of a double entendre that at this point, because they don't know who the woman behind the mask is of this new Goddess of Thunder. But then what does it also mean for Thor to not be Thor? Because on the hammer, the inscription reads something about the lines of whoever wields Mjolnir also has the power of Thor. Yes. So it presents it in the way they talk about it, the Prince Odinson and the Goddess of Thunder, like they talk about it as if it's a title. Yes. And he, being a hero and bold and modest and immortal, and acknowledging what happened to him and why he is now where he's at, he relinquishes his name.
He gives it to her.
Yeah, which is this incredibly
after a fun
scene.
Fight.
Yes, yeah. Now, keep in mind, he did not like go gently into that.
No, he fought a little bit, but he came around ultimately.
Right. So it leads that to now, who is Prince Odinson without those powers and without that? without the Thor title, even though his name is actually still Thor.
And they do this fun thing where they illuminate a big bright S in front of the he portion whenever she first picks up that hammer.
Yep.
Oh,
it's so good.
It's so good.
But it is a really kind of fun series. You know, if you guys have listened to any of the other episodes, we talked about man-eaters, and one of the things that happens in that comic that's similar to this comic is the pervasive idea that she can't have done this, like just that pervasive sexism that women face more so than men, that idea she couldn't have done it on her own, like
she had to have played a dirty trick, she had to have used a foul enchantment, she could not be worthy without having done something.
Yeah, like she stole it or something. So it's she is coupling with a lot of things,
and I enjoy
coping
a reverse trope that's happening here, wherein she is shown to be a badass in juxtaposition to the badass male character, whereas a lot of the strong female characters, TM, are used to show how badass the guy is, because look at how cool she is, and then he just did something she couldn't do. And now she is portrayed as
literally
literally he can't pick up the hammer but hammer the sword and the stone will not budge, but also she's wielding it in a way that he's never been able to. Several people have said that, like, it's never done that for me. Right? Well, it's not about the size of the hammer, but the motion of the ocean of the hammer. Yeah.
I like that. The striking of the lightning.
Yes.
No, it's a really good story. One thing that we were talking about, there is the villain in this book, Malekith, I believe. Something like that.
Dark elf.
A dark elf man. He's been around for a while, I think. He's starting to stir a little shit pot in this series that is actually relevant now in 2019. Marvel's major hit event, I think is what they call it, for 2019 is War of the Realms. And he is the main contender in that little series, and he is definitely getting some things started.
Starting some shit. And this looks like, the way that you described it to me earlier before we were recording, it sounds a little bit like this is ground zero comic for a 3-4 year later, what do they call it? Events.
Yeah.
That's what they call it, the damn events.
So if you find yourself reading War of the Realms or getting involved in that, I'll be honest though, prefacing it, I don't really know how much he crosses over with other comics. I did talk with a peer about it because I realized that the trigger, like there's another welcome to the beginning statement in the 2016 Mighty Thor, when it's her still, when it gets back to the Mighty Thor title. In talking with him, that coworker mentioned that he did not know that it started that early, that it was relevant that early. He had seen some other like hints at it and like October issues and Halloween kind of stuff, but not that it was, being referenced in 2016 or 2014 or 15. So I know Mighty Thor was kind of a popular title at the time. It stood out, at least. A lot of people called it a gimmick and very like social justice, because this was at the same time that I think Miles Morales and Kamala Khan were really starting to come out. But still a solid story, and people who want to dismiss it for a gimmick, I think really are missing out on acknowledging the narrative of a hero combating everything that she's combating, because her mortal human self is not having an easy ride of things either, and so there's a lot going on. And
I just want to stress again, for those of us in the room who aren't good at the entrenchedness of the Marvel Universe, that this is such a nuanced approach to being there for brand new readers and for established readers, because it's following up on the original Sin Run. It is completely following up on it. It's not brand new beginning, blah 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 blah. It's a full-on narrative that's pre-established from a prior comic series. But it is a perfect onboard place. Like, you do not miss a beat walking straight in and going.
That's true.
And they don't do that well, ever.
They've gotten a lot better at it.
Well, and I should hope so.
So I don't really read Marvel titles. I say that, I probably have like 4 or 5 on my list I'm reading right now. I am reading the quote-unquote gimmicks, and this was one of those that I picked up only because it was a goddess, not Thor. I would have never read Thor.
Right.
I was content with the film images of him. That was fine. But you gave me a goddess, and that's not going to be in a movie.
Here I am.
It is easy to step into this one and not feel lost. Because it is a new story, like you were saying.
And they give you all the tools you need.
Yep. And again, kudos to Marvel for getting better at that.
Yeah.
So just to kind of wrap it up, we really enjoyed it. I enjoyed, I think, the writing more than I did the art, but the art was fantastic. It sounds like you definitely enjoyed the art.
I friggin' love the art.
Yeah, yeah.
But the writing was really well done.
I think you enjoyed the art because digitally it was illuminated.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas, so definitely a digital read recommendation, probably through Hoopla,
Probably
which is
through
free,
Hoopla, which
or
is free.
I think sometimes they're available on like ebooks on Kindles and stuff. And we definitely recommend it for someone. I don't think it really like adds anything about like a feminist experience in comics, but I like nothing spectacular. But I think it's something that shouldn't be missed by female readers. And definitely if you want kind of a more traditional story, like superhero story, because Marvel is pretty staunch in their, like, they're stuck in their ways. Not that that's a bad thing.
They know how to do it well.
Yes. So if you want that kind of traditional superhero above and beyond, kind of simple
adrenaline rush story,
I think this is definitely the title for people who also want to follow a goddess and just a different perspective.
Fresh, certified.
So clean. So thanks for joining us again. We will see you next time. Bye.
Record again. I don't know where the fuck I was.